Alright, we'll join the hose to the vacuum pump first. So just take the clamp, O-ring, and the hose on the end of the stop valve. Place it onto the vac pump, putting the O-ring on first, and place the valve over the O-ring, just sit in place, and then just have to wriggle it around a bit to get our clamp onto the whole lot. Just turn around that way, and the clamp goes around the valve. Just do it up, just firm, it doesn't have to be over tight because it's got the rubber O-ring in there. So once we've got that side on, then we'll just get the fittings for the back, which will be, this is the fitting to go on the back of the freeze dryer and a hose clamp for that. The fitting will just screw onto the back, so this fitting here just screws onto the back of the freeze dryer. Again, just do that up reasonably firm. You can get a little pair of multi-grips and just nip it up a little bit, but again, it doesn't have to be super tight. Put your hose clamp on, and then just push this onto the back and pop that on, and then we'll get a screwdriver and tighten that up shortly. It will actually hold vacuum without tightening up the hose clamp, but the hose clamp's just good for a long-term solution. Okay, so we've got the hose on, we've got the valve on. At this point I would just turn the valve off as well. When we get things going, we'll have it off to warm the system up. Right, so now we'll put on the exhaust filter. So just take the clamp, the exhaust filter. Now, the exhaust filter is directional. We've got the arrow here, and that's the direction the exhaust is going to flow, so it'll be pointing up and out of the freeze dryer, out of the vacuum pump. So again, just pop the hose clamp on, pop our filter on. Oops, clamp just goes around. Loosen off the screw a little bit so you can get it on, and then just tighten it up, and again, just firm. It doesn't really matter which way the exhaust valve faces. I normally just face it back a bit so it's not protruding out in front of the pump, so no one can kick it or knock it when they walk past. And again, just doing it up, just firm, we're fine. Okay, so that's the vacuum pump all hooked up, and we'll put the accessories on top of the chamber now. So the first thing we'll pop on is the base plate. So the base plate has three little guides underneath, and they just sit inside the hole so that it can't move too far one way or the other, so there's three just sit inside. Usually orientated, so I've got this little valve at the front, which is just a bleed valve, and if it's at the front it's visible so you don't forget to close it or open it. Just make sure that's done up. So we've got the base plate on, then you can either put on your, if you've got a heavy shelf system and you don't want to be putting it down through the top of the chamber, you can put your shelf system on first. The shelf system is just, there's two more that come with the system, but this is just each of these levels just slides into place. And the shelf sits on top of that. The chamber, just put the chamber over the top, and the chamber just goes into the rubber seal, the red rubber seal there. You can take this on and off. You can take this out obviously without taking off the chamber. It just depends on if you don't like lifting things too high with the weight on it. The chamber's quite light, so oftentimes you can just take that off and just access your product. Put this back on. So chamber's on, shelves are in, and then the lid just goes on top, and again it's got a rubber seal in here, which will then just meet on top of. Sits in place like that, and that's it. Everything's assembled and together.